All right, welcome YouTubers. This is going to be a wrap up for the NFL regular season for 2017. GreatDanePicks.com, Libby Picks, and I'll also wrap up sort of my 2017 in general, and I'll go over the YouTube pickers where I sat in those. Anyways, week 17 was relatively nice to me. Week 16 and 17 are kind of crazy weeks in the betting scheme where I put a lot of money out there, but as effectively, let's see, Atlanta won for 2x, Cleveland won for 4x. Unfortunately, Houston lost for 3x. The Chargers won 2x, and Miami lost 1x. That gave me plus 32, 72, and effectively I was 8-4 for the week. Fixed was, of course, 3-2, and Martingale won some money this week. So for the year, for my multiple scheme, which is what I played, I ended up 30-32, which is negative for the year, below 500. My fixed ended up being 21-21. Let's take a look at the graph, because ROIs is what important. Again, as I do a year in review, I started out, I hit my highs in week 8, had a lot of hopes for the year, went down, went back up, and then I went on this terrible losing streaks on weeks 11, 12, and 13. As a matter of fact, it was so bad. I was 2-12 and 11, 0-3 in week 12, and 0-3 in 13, and that ended up being a 2-18 run. ATS, and I can see that if I was doing a lot of multiples, but I really wasn't doing multiples on those. Those mostly went at 1x games, so those should have been. Think of it as a coin flip. ATS is relatively a coin flip, so it's like flipping a coin 20 times and getting 2 heads. Statistically, very abnormal. 10% pick rate or 10% win rate. Very, very low. I guess I'll compare that to some other games and the teams that we did in a minute or two. But let me finish this off. So after week 13, I came back on weeks 14, 15, and that's where my multiple scheme is at negative 53% ROI. And then 16 and 17 are kind of a crapshoot. But I played those out anyways and ended up somewhere between, 0. They're all 3 schemes were negative. The Martingale ended up coming back and being the best of the negative. Fixed after that, and of course what I played was the multiple. I always seem to be jinxed and pick the worst between the Martingale and the multiple. I never play fixed. So again, I was 30-32 negative. So the numbers ended up being Martingale ended up being minus 6% ROI. Multiple was minus 23%. That was the worst. And fixed was minus 19. Here's where the highs on the year. Same type of thing. Martingale, if you had got out on week 8 or pick some number like that, like you're going to take your winnings and walk away. Multiple never made it over 17.3%. I always like to compare that to Apple. So Apple finished the year. I would have bought in September for $161.25 for $20,000. That would have been 124 shares, roughly. I mean, it was pretty within $5, right? So you got to have a transaction fee in there. But let's just minimal dollars there. The high was earlier in December at 176. That would get you a 9.5% ROI, or plus $1,800. It ended at plus 5%, so Apple was a good investment. It always is this time of year, it seems like. And my gambling was not as well of an investment. It was a loss, although you could have got out at much higher numbers, twice or more what Apple would have ever got at some point in time, depending on how greedy you were. So that's the net effect negative for the year. On football, let me just go just to show you that 2-18, 10% pick rate. Like, clearly the worst team this year was Cleveland. They went 0-16 straight up, so they lost every single game. But interestingly enough, ATS, they were also the worst ATS picking, but they were 4-12 or 25%, so 2.5 times better than my pick rate at 10%. So you just see how statistically, again, flipping a coin, it is possible to flip a coin and get 2 heads out of 20 and 18 tails. It's just as probable to get 18 heads, right? Or 18 tails. Anyways, it's statistically very low number, so I was just miffed by the unluckiness of my picks in that particular 3-week span. Otherwise, heck, I would have made some money. Even if I had done 25% during that rate, I would have made some money. Your best teams are your Minnesota and your New England went 11-5 ATS, almost 70%. Just as a reference, so obviously this year I was high on some Cleveland. I remember Denver killed me. They went 4-11, so 27%, not much better. They obviously had a draw in there, right? A tie somewhere, yeah, first week. And someone else who lost me a lot of money was Miami, who should have done better than they did too, even with a replacement quarterback. I can blame that one, but Denver, the rotating quarterbacks, just killed me. Never caught up. Should have been a better team than that. But anyways, I think between those three, it's just you still have to get unlucky to hit a 10% 3-week, 20-game pick. So enough excuses there. Let's go look at the YouTube pickers in general to see how I did relative to them. So I went 30-32. Clearly, there's a couple people who, most people were negative like me. And again, in this, to even everybody out here, I'm doing $2,000 picks. So if you win, it's plus 1818. Where's the formula for that? Plus, a win is plus 1818 and a loss is minus 2,000. So the minus 110 VIG is in there. Anyways, Teddy Bear Industries, pretty good picker despite his comical video with a teddy bear. He doesn't pick too many games. He did end up picking 55 games this year. So he's the lowest picker of the ones that I track, but he was also 30-25, which would have netted you $4,500. Clear winner this year. Everybody else was fairly negative, and fairly in the same. Again, my 30-32 would have been minus $9,500, and you can see there's a lot of people. Logan Schiff's video and Logan Schiff's description, where they're around that same amount. Half Moon lost about 10,000. The Sports Guy show, I'm going to talk to him a little bit because he did have one off take that he doesn't advocate that it won $164, but otherwise he lost $13,000. Gino was 33-33. He negative early on, but he caught up a little bit to get a 50% pick rate for losing $6,000. So Gio Knows did pretty terrible this year. He was by far the worst this particular year, and in general. So yeah, it's pretty negative, except for Teddy Bear. Pretty negative for everybody this year. So obviously we struggled as a group on the ATS picking. Let me just go. Logan Schiff, 35-37 is what I got him down. I do covers.com game time lines when analyzing their picks. So he does a video description pick, and he was 35-37. He also puts text down in the description. That's always a little squirrely because they can change their text, but he doesn't seem to do that. And he went just 2 games over 500, but you're picking so many games at that point. Again, 182 games for the year. That 90-92 ain't going to get it done, right? 92-90, I mean, is not going to get it done. You're going to lose a ton of money. But still, Half Moon this year was leading everybody, doing positive, but he had some terrible end weeks. Ended up 34-36, lost $10,000. Sports Guy show, again, he is teaser central nowadays. So he has all his picks, and not all, but he's heavy on the teasers and less on the ATS. Now, back in the day, pretty terrible on the ATS, but then he did great on the ATS last year, which is why I keep him on my radar. I do like his analysis. It's a very long video to analyze, but if I just do what I interpret to be his ATS straight up, not the ATS picks, where he sticks with an ATS and not a money line or a teaser, he would have been 28-32 and lost a chunk of change. Now, I do something kind of funky with him. I did it last year and I did it this year, which is even if he picks a teaser, what would his ATS record be? Just because, if he picks, I don't know, New England in a teaser, right? Let's do New England says ATS. That's obviously a lot more games that he picks because so many of his games are teasers. Again, 60 of his games weren't teasers, and 187 games totally picked, so 120 would have been teasers or some money lines in there. I'm just going to look at teasers because that's as prevalent, but he was up a pretty good chunk of change. He was pretty close to where Teddy Bear was, but these last couple of weeks he slid, and so he ended up 98-89 for 164. I have to put some alternatives on him, but It's the way it is. I'll talk about his teasers in a second, because he's a unique teaser guy. Good analysis, though, in general. And in general, if you took his picks, you'd eke out a little bit of money if you went ATS with him. Gino, again, Gino and Gio, I call them the 50% pickers, and Gio wasn't even that good this year. But you can see overall. Now here I got the total overall package. So for me, it's going back to, I don't know, 2013. Let me just slide over real quick. Yeah, 2013 for me. Some of these other guys aren't quite as long. I used to be Have a Ball. Now I'm Great Dane. So I'm 179, 136, netting 53,000, 56.8%, or $170 per game. Teddy Bear had some bad years. So I've had bad years. Of course, this was a bad year for me. But he's won 1995. That's 26,000. He had, I think it's 2013 or 2014. He started also. 55.6%, pretty good pick rate. 52.4 or 52.38 is your break even. So he's 123 a game. Logan has been a pretty good picker, although this last year both schemes kind of crapped out. He did have a great year way back in the description back here in 2015. Picks a lot of games for his description, but either way, 79% for his video. I'm sorry, plus $79 a game for his video picks, or plus 40 for his description. That's pretty impressive when you pick that many games. But either way, that's where he stands. Lost money this year. Half Moon, usually a pretty good picker, but his net over the years 144, 126, 53.3, $36 a game. So Sports Guy, he was slightly positive, like $6 positive. Now I've gone negative on him, and his overall ATS was negative. He gained a little bit this year, remained even basically, 33. And then Gino and Gio are just $80 and $100 a game losers. Again, they're 178 and 176 is pretty close to 500, or coin flip, which is what these games are. 167, 169, again, pretty much a coin flip. Still like to follow him. Gino's particularly entertaining. Gio is what he is, right? Maybe he does better on money lines or over-unders or teasers or whatever he picks. These guys I don't follow anymore. I haven't followed them for years. They were losers. Presidor, the Football Guru, and Jared Champion. So I just haven't followed them the last couple of years. They were losing a bundle of money. I suspect they didn't get any better. So I'm still top of the heap, but I don't know what I'm going to do. So let me talk about the Sports Guys teasers, because that's pretty prevalent. I got him as going 70 and 31 on his teasers, and so that is, by the way, that's not good enough. So 70 divided by 101 is a 69% rate, but let's just say it's a two-game teaser. So in general, if you won 69% each game, that combines to a 48% win rate. Again, you need 52.4 or 52.38. So really, on a two-game teaser, you need, let's do 52.38. You need a 72.4 almost percent win rate on your teasers in order to have a two-game teaser work out for you after the vig, right? So he is really no good on his teasers. I could have told you that. So again, his ATS is struggling. As a matter of fact, his ATS is negative. So he's a really long show, but I do like it. I do like his entertainment value, but don't make his picks. Again, if you want to pick people, me, Teddy Bear Industries was a good pick, and even Logan Schiff is still hanging out there pretty good. Keep an eye on him, like his video picks. Otherwise, you're kind of in the dark. Half Moon will win you some money, but everybody else is kind of losers. Again, if you can come up with somebody that has got some sustained online here, I don't know what I'm going to do going forward. But there's the year and sort of the history I've been tracking on YouTube prognosticators on the NFL side. So, what is my year? Again, my NBA. I was putting for every 20,000, I bet 40,000 worth of NBA this year. So I was plus 52% is what I ended up being. You can go back and see the graph on that one, or plus $10,000 on my per $20,000 of expended. MLB, I had 2 systems at 20,000 a piece. I put into those, and one of them doubled up. As a matter of fact, it doubled up in like the first sector, first 3 weeks or so. So I quit there at plus 20,000. My second one had a high at 25%. I probably should have quit. Walked away for the year. Again, that was the first 2 sessions, I think, because I usually try to do 10% a session. But then it fell off the cliff, and I finally quit out at like minus 9,000. Or I'm sorry, when I had 9,000 left, so minus almost $11,000 loss on that 20. So it was minus 45%. And again, my NFL per 20,000, I lost 47.30 on the multiple scheme. Again, I bet 3x. I bet 60,000. So really, I lost 3 times that. But that sucked. But the high was 17%, so it didn't even hit 20%. Guess I could have made some good money there, but net for the year, just taking 20,000 for each one of these 4, I would have been plus 15,475, which is 85% rate. I remember the MLB, I combined the 2 for 40,000 because I had to have that bankroll simultaneously, and I made 24% between the 2. I really made $10,000 on a $40,000. But anyway, you calculate it out here. I'm a little bit positive for the year. Quite a bit positive, but again, that NFL dragged me down, which really sucks. That's my bread and butter. Again, that 2-18 run was ridiculous, 10% rate. Hard to do, hard to lose that badly. I laugh it off now because I'm net positive for the year, but not terribly happy with the last result there. But that's 2017, terrible year for me. I had my child die, I had a relatives die, so it was kind of took the wind out of my sail for the second half of the season, especially with MLB 2 losing some money and NFL losing some money. But I'll see if I need to recalculate my formula, go through some data, what I need to do. But again, I pick up NBA around the middle of the year. I haven't even plotted that out quite yet. I got a couple weeks maybe or so to do that, so look forward to that coming. I don't know if I'll do MLB this year. If I do, I might do limited. I might do limited NBA too. I might want to do every day. I might just do for paid people. I might go back to paid. As usually whenever I do these free picks on YouTube, I crap out and do whatever 50%, 25%. I think for MLB, or I lose money like the damn NFL. Even last year, I didn't make a ton of money when I'm used to making much more profit, much like the MLB one where I hit 103%. I like to hit 70% per NBA, per MLB, and per NFL to drive you in the 200+% for the year instead of 85%. That doesn't plus 85%. I mean, winning's winning. I'll have to pay the taxes on that year, just like normal. You don't get to deduct your losses. You just do the net year, and if you're net positive, it's treated like personal income tax, which I think Trump. I don't know if Trump reduced it this year or increased it, but you can just count on 32. Well, it depends on how much money you make, right? 25% is relatively normal, but once you get high enough, highest used to be 39. I'm not quite in that bracket. I can't gamble. I can't gamble that much in my local municipality. Maybe I need to move to Vegas, but I don't know. Don't like Vegas that much. Anyways, hope you had a good 2017. Thanks for following me, and wish you well in 2018 on your gambling endeavors. All right, goodbye.